There's a certain kind of person who can't relax until the dishes are done, who wipes down a counter that's already clean, who vacuums a room nobody walked through today. To everyone else, it looks like tidiness, but underneath it, something else is usually going on. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what that is. Let's be clear about something first. Cleaning every day isn't automatically a problem. Some people genuinely enjoy a tidy space, and that's completely fine. This video isn't about that. It's about the specific pattern where cleaning stops being a chore and starts being something closer to a requirement, where skipping it doesn't just mean a messier house, it means feeling genuinely uneasy until it's fixed. If that sounds familiar, here's what's actually happening underneath it. Reason 1. Cleaning is one of the few things that gives you total control. A lot of life is unpredictable. Other people's moods, work outcomes, relationships, the future in general. None of that responds directly to effort in a clean, reliable way. A dirty dish, though, that responds immediately. Wash it, and it's clean. Every single time, no exceptions, no unpredictability. For people who feel like a lot of their life is out of their hands, cleaning becomes one of the few areas where cause and effect actually works the way it's supposed to. The house becomes a stand-in for control that feels missing everywhere else. It's not really about the mess. It's about having at least one thing that responds when you act on it. Reason 2. An orderly space quiets an anxious mind, at least temporarily. Visual clutter and mental clutter are more connected than people realize. A messy environment can act almost like background noise for an already busy mind. One more thing demanding attention, even in the background. Clearing it away doesn't just tidy the room, it genuinely reduces the amount of visual noise the brain has to process. This creates a fast, reliable relief loop. Feel anxious, clean something, feel calmer. The problem is that the calm is usually temporary, tied to the physical space rather than whatever's actually causing the anxiety underneath. So the anxiety returns. And so does the urge to clean. Not because the house got messy again that quickly, but because the underlying tension never actually got addressed, just quieted for a while. Reason 3. For some people, this pattern started as a survival response. If you grew up in a household where chaos, conflict, or unpredictability was common, a clean, controlled environment may have felt like the one safe zone available to you. Kids in unstable homes often gravitate toward the things they can control: grades, routines, or the state of their room, because everything else feels like it's happening to them, not because of them. That coping strategy can stick around long after the original chaos is gone. The house is calm now. The unpredictability that used to exist may not even be present in your adult life anymore. But the nervous system doesn't automatically know that. It just knows that mess used to correlate with danger, so keeping things spotless still feels like keeping things safe. Reason 4. Cleaning can double as productive-looking avoidance. Here's an angle that surprises people. Sometimes daily cleaning isn't really about the house at all. It's a socially acceptable way to avoid something harder. Writing an email you're dreading, making a difficult phone call, sitting with a feeling you don't want to feel. Cleaning has a built-in advantage other forms of avoidance don't. It looks responsible. Nobody questions someone who says, "I need to clean the kitchen first." It doesn't look like procrastination, even when, functionally, that's exactly what it is. The task gets done, the guilt of avoiding something else gets quietly soothed, and the actual hard thing gets pushed to tomorrow again. Reason 5. For some, mess feels like a personal reflection, not just a physical state. There's a specific belief that shows up a lot in people who clean compulsively. The idea that the state of their space says something about who they are as a person. A messy house doesn't just feel inconvenient. It can feel like evidence of being lazy, out of control, or falling behind, even when none of that is actually true. This turns ordinary household mess into something emotionally loaded. Dishes in the sink aren't just dishes anymore. They're a small, nagging accusation. And because that feeling is uncomfortable, the fastest way to make it go away isn't to challenge the belief. It's to clean the dishes and remove the evidence. Reason 6. Sensory regulation plays a bigger role than people expect. For some people, mess isn't primarily an emotional trigger. It's a sensory one. Clutter, visual disorder, or things being out of place can create a genuine physical discomfort, almost like a low-grade static in the environment. Cleaning resolves that static directly. This shows up especially often in people who are highly sensitive to sensory input generally: noise, texture, visual chaos. Where an ordered environment isn't a preference, it's closer to a baseline requirement for feeling regulated at all. So, if these patterns are all doing real emotional work, is daily cleaning actually a problem, or is it just a coping style? The honest answer is, it depends on what happens when you can't do it. If skipping a day of cleaning is mildly annoying, but you're basically fine, that's just a preference, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if skipping it creates real anxiety, if the cleaning has to happen in a specific order, or if it's actively taking time away from things that matter to you, relationships, rest, work you actually care about, that's worth paying attention to. Not because cleanliness is bad, but because the compulsive quality underneath it usually isn't really about the house at all. Here's what tends to help. If any of this hit close to home, start by noticing what emotion shows up right before the urge to clean. Is it anxiety, guilt, restlessness, avoidance of something else? Naming that feeling, even briefly, starts to separate the cleaning from the actual thing driving it. From there, try occasionally sitting with a small, low-stakes mess on purpose. Not the whole house, just one thing. And noticing that the discomfort, while real, usually passes without anything bad actually happening. That's often the fastest way to teach an anxious system that the house isn't the thing keeping it safe. You are. Cleaning every day isn't inherently a red flag, but if it's less about the house and more about needing to feel okay, that's worth understanding. Not judging, understanding. Because the actual fix was never really about the dishes in the first place. If any of this sounded familiar, that's not a coincidence. Subscribe for more psychology that actually explains the habits you didn't realize had a reason behind them.